Jonathan here at TopSaw, all things wood from tree work to woodwork. In this video, I take down this tulip tree, mill out the lumber, let it dry, and then build this bookshelf. The intent of this bookshelf is kind of make it look like a forest or like you're standing in a glade. So that's what we're going to do in this video. See the bark peeling off. Pretty tight right there. Service, Japanese maple fence, roof, skylights, brand new skylights. Excited for a couple of logs. They're pretty teeny, but I know tulip wood's pretty wood, so maybe we'll get a little bit of wood out of this. Climbing line with the Petzl zigzag, my knot sentinel harness, saddle, lowering rope spurs, 200T. I think I'll just take those two stems on the left, rope them off that main one, and then just throw a few blocks down right here. Trying to stay off the street. This is pretty solid. So that was a great day of tree work. Tulip down, oaks down. There's the tulip logs. I got 3 of them in the back of my truck. Excited to get them to school and see what that wood looks like. So I brought it to school. I'm unloading it. Here's our mill, kind of wrapped up for the weekend. Our fearless dog. And I'm going to anchor seal it before I pull it out of my truck. This stuff works really well to prevent checking. You know, these are teeny little logs, very little wood in there in the first place. I got this on Amazon. Amazing what you could get there. And all you really need to do with this stuff is just scoop it onto the wet log so the moisture can't escape out the end of the end grain. Oh, I was deliberately trying not to get out of my truck. Certainly a lot easier to paint all the ends before you mill it rather than after you mill it, but you just kind of slap that stuff on so that it dries really slowly through the end grain. Beautiful. Milling the wood to 1 1/4 or 5/4, and then stacking it and letting it dry. And then 6 months later, I'm planing it down. So it dries about 1 inch on radius. So if they're about 1 inch thick, it'll dry in 6 months. So this is 6 months later. Here I am planing both sides out, taking about 50 thou off, taking some of the checked ends off and the paint off the end. And I'm trying to plane and clean them up all together. You can tell I'm wearing flip-flops. It's from the rainy season to the middle of summer now, nice and hot. Those are my new work boots. Just taking the ends off with the paint on it and the chainsaw cut. That's not going to be my finish end. Just a little bit more easy to work with and get some ideas on measurement once that checked end's taken off. All right, there they are. There's a tulip wood planed down on both sides. Just kind of cross cut on the ends. Really pretty grain. End grain's 5%. 25% at the end, but in the center here, 18%, 17%. I'm gonna need some more time drying, but it'll help that I got them planed and I got the ends cut off. Hopefully not too much more checking. A few weeks later, I held a straight manufacturer board on top, drew the straightest pencil line I could, wasting the least amount of wood I could, and now I'm just cutting that on the bandsaw. It's not perfectly straight, but it's pretty straight, wasting as little wood as possible. From the bandsaw over to the joiner to get a straight edge, might take 1 or 2 passes. You can see here, it's still not quite down on that feed table, right at the end there. I'm going to do one more pass to get that straight edge on there. Reversing the direction to get a little bit less chatter. This is that Powermatic 6-inch joiner with the heliarcal blades. Really nice tool. I have a video on this Powermatic joiner I have. Alright, so I got one straight edge. So the board on top has that straight edge. I'm fastening it to the board underneath that has 2 natural edges to it. And I'm going to use it as a guide board. So I'm going to use that straight edge on the top board to run against the fence. And then it'll give me a straight edge on the other board, if that made sense. So this is a good way to do it. The bandsaw is a good way to do it. You just spend a lot of time on the joiner. Here I am cutting that edge off, so the planer surfaces the board top and bottom, and then now I'm attaching a secondary board with a straight edge on it, and I got that straight edge on the bandsaw and joiner to the board, and I'm running that straight edge against the fence to give me a straight edge on the other board. So this is the way I surface all the boards, 3 sides, and then from here I went over to the joiner just to make sure it's perfectly straight. So you can see there's a natural edge on there, but the edge I just ripped on the table saw, I'm joining to get perfectly straight. And if I want to be surfaced 4 sides, I would be able to use that edge against the fence and rip off that natural edge. Now that I'm surfaced 3 sides, I'm back over to the compound miter saw, and I'm cutting the ends off perpendicular to that surface edge, and then I'm cutting the pieces for the supports. I want that natural edge to be on the outside. I'm kind of hoping this whole bookshelf is going to be supported, and it's going to kind of look like a tree. So I'm kind of hoping it looks like a aspen grove or something. And then these are the supports here, and then that's the jointed edge. This is a double natural edge side, and then I'm just going to screw that to the other board, and then these are going to go in between the shelves, and then I'll also have something to attach it to the wall with. So pilot hole and a counter recess. The boards are 3/4 inch. I'm going to use, I think, 1.5 inch wood screws. Those screws really hold it in place until the glue dries. So the glue is really what allows or gives you the strength, and the screws are so you don't have to use clamps. Or if there's expansion or contraction in the wood, the screws still hold it together. So I know right at the beginning there's a picture of the shelf, and you can kind of see how these are the supports in between the shelf. And I'm putting the larger side forward, and I'm trying to keep the branch knots on the front piece so that it looks like the tree's growing up through the shelves. So you get an idea there with the 2 shelves and 2 supports in there. I think those 2 supports are 32 inches apart, so I could catch studs with them when I fix it to the wall. I like the way it looks. I mean, I kind of like that alder not alder. I like that tulip wood, which is the same as poplar. Some people call it yellow poplar. It is not magnolia. Magnolia is a little bit different. Magnolia's wood looks similar, but the trees are actually a little bit different. So now I'm gluing those supports to the shelf on both sides and then screwing the same way I did the supports together. There will be some visible screws, but they should all be covered by the books, so they won't be too obvious. I am going to use those small little screws to attach those supports to the wall with those teeny blackheads. I think I got those screws at Rockler. They're pretty cool. You will be able to see those. So here I am pilot holding it and then screwing them together. So this is what my thought is on the shelf right here. Those are supports trying to look like a tree growing. And then books will fit in between there. I'm not too sure how high up I'll go, maybe 4 or 5 of them. And I think I'll stagger these intermittent pieces, but I'll get really solid because I'll attach those to the studs. All right, let me finish this thing up. We're doing good here. All right, coming together a little bit here. Got my stud 16 on center. And then this will be on this side. This is facing up. All right, there it is. Not positive you see it too well. Need like a white background on it. Oh, it's actually upside down. I want that stub going up. So kind of on the front there. That's what it'll look like. Fair bit of room for books. I don't think it'll get overloaded. I got that little end cap in there. I'm not positive about that, but I kind of like it, I think. Certainly looks like a tree. I mean, it certainly has the green and brown feel, the bark, a little bit of sanding. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to take it home and install it before I finish it and paint it or seal it. This is TopSaw, all things wood. I do tree work on the weekends, teach high school wood shop. This is the tulip tree I took down, and it's kind of cool. See it from all the way from a tree removal to milling to manufacturing lumber. So I have these Rockler 2.5-inch screws with these teeny heads, number 1 square drive. I love these screws. The boards aren't 100% parallel, but that's looking pretty level. I did lay out my studs on here, so these X's are where my studs are, and then these are all 16s. Everybody happy with that level and height, or you want to go up? We're going in. Use a stud finder here. So there's a stud right there. Didn't get a stud on that one. Alright, Jonathan at TopSaw. All things wood. If you liked the video, hit like and subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications. And thank you for watching. I'd love to hear your comments below. Kind of the overall design from the mill to the furniture shop.